again, audience. Welcome to a new month where we are going to be talking about a whole new topic. And
we're doing Harry Potter.
Yep, so as per usual, there's 4 videos this month. We'll be talking about a certain character, a little bit of their background information. Do they work? Do they work in their surroundings? And do we like them? So, without further ado, let's get started. So, we're doing someone from Harry's generation first, and
it's Neville.
We didn't want to start with one of the trio members because they're, I guess you want to say, some of the biggest characters in there, but...
well, if we do one now, we can't do them again later, and this is not the only time we're ever going to do a Harry Potter month. So we figured save them for another time, and plus Neville's awesome, so...
yeah, we kind of wanted that. And we kind of wanted to, for someone from Harry's generation, we kind of wanted to do someone who was still part of Dumbledore's army. So, and like Dragon just said, we both like Neville. So, yep, we're going to talk about Neville. So, let's start with some background information on Neville.
And as usual, that's your forte.
Yes, it is. So Neville was born on July 30th, 1980, and he was born to Aurors Frank and Alice Longbottom,
who were unfortunately tortured by Bellatrix Lestrange, and they lost their minds, and they spent pretty much all of Neville's life in St. Mungo's.
Yes.
Which is really, really sad, but, you know.
Yep. So Neville was actually one of 2 babies born at the end of July who could very well be the child of a prophecy that Sybil Trelawney.
It was him or Harry.
But Harry was born several hours after Neville, which oddly enough turned out to be the next day, July 31st, and Voldemort ultimately chose to go after Harry instead of Neville.
And it was because, like, logically speaking, you'd think that Voldemort would see the pureblood wizard as more of a threat given his whole dogma. But he related more to Harry, given their half-blood status, so I don't even think he realized it, but the kid he related to more is the one he was more, I don't want to say afraid of, because this was a baby, he was not afraid of a baby.
No.
But, like, he saw it as more of a potential threat, I guess is the best way to say it. So he went to kill Harry's parents.
Yes.
And Harry, and only kind of succeeded.
Yeah, but another reason why it also could have been Neville instead of Harry, I actually have a quote from part of the prophecy. It says, so the one who's supposed to vanquish the Dark Lord, Voldemort, was born to those who have thrice defied him, born as the 7th month dies. So Lily and James, they did defy Voldemort 3 times, but Frank and Alice, they did as well. But like Dragon said,
yeah, but that's not more of a reason, it's just why he fit the criteria. If they didn't do that, then he wouldn't be subject to the prophecy. So it's not really more of a reason, it's just part of the reason.
Alright, true enough. But yes, like she said, Voldemort chose to go after Harry instead. So after Neville's parents were cursed by Bellatrix Lestrange, along with her husband, her brother-in-law Sebastian, and Barty Crouch Jr., who, if you watch the movies, you know what he does later.
Or read the books.
Yeah, or read the books, of course. Neville was raised by his paternal grandmother, Augusta Longbottom. And when I say she was hard on Neville, that's not exaggerating. Neville spent his whole life feeling like he never lived up to his grandmother's expectations of him, and she constantly reminded him that he wasn't living up to what his parents did. But Neville, like many other pure wizard children, did attend Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry later in life, where he was sorted into Gryffindor House along with the trio, Harry Potter, Ron Weasley, and Hermione Granger.
Well, he did struggle in many, many classes. He excelled with plants.
Yes.
So he was very good with herbology, and that proved rather useful. And once we really see that, especially in the movies, because we don't really see as much of Neville in the movies as we do in the books, his confidence definitely gets bigger.
Because if you read the books, since they omitted a lot from the movies, Neville actually got into quite a few incidents in the first book alone. When he was being sorted, he silently was arguing with the Sorting Hat to put him in Hufflepuff, and then when the Sorting Hat shouted out his house name, he actually got really nervous, screamed, ran to the end of the Great Hall, and had to come back to give the Sorting Hat to the next first year. And he also ended up in detention with Harry, Hermione, and Malfoy in the Dark Forest.
Ron was not part of that.
Ron was not part of that. There were some deleted scenes too, though, like when he got the leg lock curse placed on him with Malfoy, and he was hopping into the Great Hall, and he did actually get into a duel with Ron and Hermione against Malfoy, Crabbe, and Goyle in the second Quidditch tournament of the year, because they were mocking the Gryffindor Quidditch team along with Neville himself, and he actually did take out Crabbe, so...
Lesson learned. Witches and wizards at Hogwarts take their Quidditch very seriously.
Yeah.
I don't get it, but I don't really get sports that much in general, so...
Considering it's a European nation, Quidditch is kind of like wizard soccer, so...
I know, which is extra, because we're Americans, so... If we were witches, we wouldn't quite get Quidditch anyway.
No, we wouldn't. But anyway, so throughout, up until the fourth year, I want to say, Neville would just basically get into more trouble. He was in the wrong place at the wrong time a lot. Like, there was the second book where there was the incident in Defense Against the Dark Arts class with the Pixies. And there were a few in the third book as well.
Well, if we're not going to name everything because there's a lot.
Yeah, but
suffice to say, he was a lot more present in the books than the films. So a lot of his content was cut, which I get because, you know, time is very important. The movies were very long already. So some people had to get, you know, cut for time. But regardless, you know, he was still there a lot. He helped. He was a genuinely nice guy. So...
And I think the Goblet of Fire is when we really start to see Neville grow as a person, and when he does a lot more.
Yeah, like, the first time I personally remember, like, really thinking he was no longer that no confidence scared kid was when he gave Harry the Gillian Bead. That was, like, the marker in my mind. Okay, he's no longer a wimp now, he's kind of badass.
Yes. And we'd see even more of that in the Order of the Phoenix when Dumbledore's army was formed by Harry, because we see him struggle at first, but eventually he gains enough confidence, he improves, and he successfully disarms someone in a meeting. He's one of the 6 main members of Dumbledore's army to take place in the battle at the Department of Mysteries.
He kind of leads Dumbledore's army in the last book,
Yes.
along with Luna and Ginny,
Until
while Harry's out Horcrux hunting.
and although in the book, they didn't show this in the movie, after Christmas he was also leading by himself because Luna was captured because of what her father was writing in the Quibbler, and Ginny's family went into hiding, so it was pretty much Neville by himself. But he took nothing from the Carrows, who were torturing the students.
And he was the one who picked up Harry, Ron, and Hermione from Hogwarts. And I know it's not a huge deal because someone had to come, but it was so nice just seeing him. Just showing up, and the trio were all happy to see him, and it was a sweet moment. And he gives some exposition. This is what you missed, which is important. And he has a lot of badass moments during the final battle, like movie only when he helped blow up the bridge. That was mostly Seamus's doing, but Neville was the one taunting Dumbledore's army, which was Voldemort's army, and that was really funny. And Indy's come to say hello.
And after Harry's death, he did stand up against Voldemort and the Death Eaters, and he was able to pull the sword of Godric Gryffindor out of the Sorting Hat,
And then he decapitated Nagini, which was all kinds of awesome.
Yes, which meant he had killed the final Horcrux, and Harry was able to kill Voldemort.
Oh, that's a good thing.
But
after the Battle of Hogwarts, everyone who participated was allowed to become an Auror, because that was a huge deal, and clearly they're capable if they survived that ordeal.
But Neville did for a while.
Yeah, but then he eventually quit, where he then became the herbology teacher at Hogwarts.
And he eventually married fellow DA member. She was a Hufflepuff student. Her name was Hannah Abbott, and she became the landlady of the Leaky Cauldron.
And they lived above it, and he did become the godfather of one of Harry and Ginny's sons.
I believe it was Albus, their second son.
Uh-huh.
So that is pretty much Neville's biography.
Yeah, that's his a short version of his history. We left a lot out, but if we did the whole entire thing, the video would be too long and we're kind of lazy.
Yeah, we'd be talking for 2 hours, probably, or more. But,
especially given how much you like Neville.
are you implying something more?
Nope. So first, we're going to talk about, does he work as a character? So,
Would you like to start?
for the most part, yeah, I think he does work. He struggles, but come on, who doesn't struggle in school?
Yeah. I mean, in the beginning it does seem like he was kind of there just to be there for somebody to make fun of because all these horrible things happened to him. But
Like the first couple of times it was kind of funny, then it got kind of sad, and then it was just like, seriously, again.
And I mean, I know at least in the first film, if you watch the first film, it's not just him, because if you watch Seamus, everything with him just kind of blows up, but
Yeah.
Seamus doesn't do that on purpose.
It doesn't happen all that often,
And,
especially in comparison, and that is played for laughs.
and that's really the only thing that happens with Seamus, so.
But I also like his love of herbology, because it's not like the typical thing to like, but we all like weird subjects in school, so there's always that one kid who's into the obscure subject, and that's normal.
Yeah.
And like we're all into something that's a bit obscure and not mainstream, so it was nice to get someone who wasn't a fan of like an obvious field of study.
Like Defense Against the Dark Arts, or even, I guess, divination, which Luna was very into. Although that's a little,
She was?
yeah.
I don't recall her being in the Grand Adventure.
Well, it was more in the book. She didn't get a lot of class time, but
True enough. So, and then he did grow. He got some of the most character development out of everybody. A lot of people got character development in the series, don't get me wrong, but Neville has, I guess, the most noticeable because he gets, like, the most change.
he does get the most change,
Because,
definitely.
like, Harry, for example, he starts out kind of badass, and he ends badass. Neville starts off very wimpy, and he ends badass. So that's a bit more noticeable in the change department. So, and his arc is interesting. In all honesty, you know, he has this depressing backstory. He doesn't harp on it though. We learn about it like what, halfway through the series?
Yes, I
And
think
we have no clue. Like we knew he lived with his grandmother. But given there was a war going on not all that long ago, you know, the assumption is of course he's an orphan. They died fighting,
Neville's not an orphan. His parents are alive. They just have no idea who he is.
yeah, so
Which
it's
is
just it's a thing, and it's an interesting twist on your expectations, I suppose.
yeah, and I mean, this was in the Order of the Phoenix. I understand why they want to admit this from the movie, but the trio actually went with him to see his parents during the Christmas holiday.
They didn't go with him specifically. They went there to see Ron's dad.
Right. But they did
He
meet
just happened to be there at the same time, so they hung out a bit, and they did see his parents. So, because you know this was after Nagini attacked Mr. Weasley, so they went to visit. Neville happened to be there, and we got some exposition on him.
Which Harry already knew about, but he kept it quiet.
Yeah, and like knowing and knowing are two different things. You know, like knowing and seeing. Because, you know, he knew, but now he knows. If that makes sense.
It does.
So the next one is, does he fit as a character in his setting?
In the beginning, not so much.
He's like, yes, like you said earlier, it makes sense. Not everyone's going to be good at school. People are going to struggle. But Neville's the only one who really struggles. And it's not just with one class. It's with just about everything. And given everyone else, well, they did have struggle. Like Harry had issues with potions, for example. It was just potions. He was fine in the other classes. He'd get overwhelmed by homework, but who doesn't? And he never freaked out, I'm going to fail. Neville, though, seemed to perpetually be in that state.
Yes, and
that was like, again, there are always going to be kids like that, but when he's the only one that we're seeing like that, it's kind of weird.
But from the fourth book on, when we really see the development in him, he comes out of his shell more, he begins to do things that are definitely very useful and helpful to Harry's progress and the overall progress of the story, then that's when he really starts to work.
But he's also the kid, at least in the movie. I don't remember because it's been so long since I read the books, but he was the kid in the fourth one who actually hung out with Harry after everyone thought Harry had stuck his name into the goblet of fire and was shunning him, which always really confused me.
They did show that in the movie a little bit, that he was with Harry.
That's what I was saying. He hung out with Harry despite all the ridicule Harry was getting, and that was, I liked that.
Because even Ron turned on Harry for a bit.
Like, getting off topic for a moment, that always kind of bothered me. Like, to an extent, I understand the other students, but why would Ron? Harry does not need eternal fame and glory. He kind of already has that.
Yeah, and Ron should know that better than anybody.
Like, I get getting jealous because of all the attention and blah, 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 but Harry wasn't going to get anything he didn't already have.
Mhm.
You know?
Yeah. What more does
So
Harry
it's
want?
like, why would you ridicule him when he's not really getting anything out of it to want it, you know? He has fame, he has glory, and he's freaking rich. The tournament is giving him nothing he doesn't already have, and he's kind of miserable throughout the whole thing, so like, obviously not everyone's going to see that because they don't know him and they don't all hang out with him, but it just bothered me that so many people just assumed right away, oh, he's doing this. It always kind of confused me. But that's not the point of this video.
Yeah, we'll get into Ron and Harry in a whole nother video.
Yeah, that's gonna come later. So in short, does he work as a character in the setting in the beginning?
No,
Not really, because it took you out of the setting. Like, why is this kid struggling while everyone else is fine?
Mhm.
But then later, as he grows and develops, he most definitely fits, and he became a fan favorite. So last is, do we like him as a character? So for me, yeah, he's cool. You know, he becomes really badass. He has his funny moments. I liked his passion for herbology. And, you know, even when he was at his lamest, he was still a legitimately nice guy, which was refreshing, because so many people had their asshole moments
Mhm.
in the books and in the movies, but he never did.
I don't think there's been a pure blood wizard, let alone a student, who's been nice throughout the whole thing.
Even Ron.
Even Ron had
Yes,
his moments.
and I'm not even talking about when he rage quits in Deathly Hallows, because you can blame a good chunk of that on the Horcrux he'd been holding. But even in previous books / movies, he definitely had his asshole moments.
Yes.
So, well, that's my opinion. So, what is yours?
Well, I do love him as well as a character. I mean, because one, who doesn't love a good underdog story? He's, like we said, he starts off as the kid who has everything bad happen to him, but then he grows into this badass kind of lost boy leader who kills Voldemort's snake, which, that was awesome.
I know, it was depicted so cool in the movie.
And he practically led Dumbledore's army in Harry's absence, as I said, by himself for the second half of the year because Luna and Ginny were gone. And also I like him because, in a way, I kind of relate to him, because he's kind of this klutzy, shy, awkward oddball who just doesn't really know what to do at the most of the time and only has a small group of friends. So, you know what? I relate to that, and I like it.
Well, and if you could marry a fictional character, it would probably be Neville.
You don't know that.
Yes, I do. I know you very well.
How do you know Neville's even on the list or at the top for the most part?
Because I know you.
Okay, I am not in love with a fictional character.
Did I say you were?
No, but you're implying it.
No.
You
Then
said
if you could marry a fictional character, it would be Neville. That is all I said.
You know what?
Oh.
Avada Kedavra! Well now. Dragon? Oh my god. I think I killed her. And now Indiana is sitting by her dead corpse. I didn't mean to, I swear. Oh my god. 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 No. Well, I guess it's good as any of the time to end the video, so I'm gonna figure out what to do about this situation. So we'll see you in the next video for Harry Potter month, and you can follow me on Twitter and Tumblr at Fire Dragon and Water Fairy, and yeah, I'll see you next time where hopefully things won't be as horrible. So, bye.